Welcome to Podcast Marketing Secrets, the place for entrepreneurs, coaches, and CEOs who are looking to grow their business with the podcast, become a key person of influence in their industry, and get their ideal clients to come to them, also known as attraction marketing. I'm your host, Al Morenton. My guest today is Ron Reich. Ron is a passionate leadership management and development subject matter expert and coach with 28 years of experience in diversified industries. An expert facilitator, Ron believes in involving participants and clients in their learning, leading to higher engagement and quality results. Also, a voracious reader, he stays current with the latest research and philosophies, which he loves sharing with his clients. Welcome to the show, Ron.
Al, thank you. It's really good to be here. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So why don't you tell us a little bit how you got started and what led you down the path that you're on now?
I'm asked that question quite often, and every time I chuckle because it's an interesting story. I began my career so many years ago in human resources, and I enjoyed it. I wasn't passionate about it. It was fine. And I did that for about, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years, whatever it may have been. Some friends of mine and I decided to open an HR consulting firm. And we did that for, again, maybe 3, 4 years, something along those lines. For a number of different reasons, we decided to shut the doors. I was going through a very nasty divorce at the time. I had nowhere to go except to move back in with my mom and dad. And Al, I did that. I'm in New Jersey, and out of nowhere, I got a telephone call from a recruiter in Dallas, Texas, who said to me, I have a job that is the exact opposite of what you are. It's with Toshiba. They are looking for somebody who has a lot of training and some HR. You have a lot of HR and some training. I can get you in front of them. What you need to do is to get them to flip their competencies. That happened. I got into training and development actually a little over 30 years ago now, and I have not looked back since. And I'm just so blessed. I'm so grateful because I love what I do. And I say this proudly, and I hope it comes across that way. I'm really good at what I do too. And I love doing it. And I mean, there are times I still will smile to myself. I'm like, man, I get paid to do this. You got to be kidding me.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. So we'll get into like exactly what it is that you do, but let's start off with what is it, emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence for me, I define it a little differently, I think, than a lot of people. For me, Al, the way I look at it, it's getting to know yourself on an incredibly deep level. And there is more to it, absolutely. Except emotional intelligence for me is learning about what are your strengths? What do you do really well? What are your limitations? Because we all have them and getting comfortable in sharing both your strengths and your limitations with people and out loud because people need to know that. Additionally, being aware of, yeah, your own emotions. What triggers me? What makes me emotional? And then being able to regulate that. It's also having the ability to comfortably admit my mistakes, apologize when I'm wrong, have empathy for other people, wanting to understand them, and knowing and understanding their perspective, what's happening, and then also taking the appropriate action based on the understanding that we both gained. And that to me is a big piece of emotional intelligence.
That's awesome. So it seems like that's a valuable trait for like heads of a company or leaders, you know.
It is. Well, I mean, it's. I'm an avid. I was telling you a little bit before the show. I'm an avid New York Giant football fan. I have been for many years. and I've actually been a season ticket holder for almost 30 years. During a tailgate quite a few years ago, one of the guys in our group, who's the chief financial officer for a technology company in Manhattan, said to me, hey, Mr. Leadership Development Man, give me one tip. Throw me the one tip that would make me the best leader possible. I thought about it and I was like, Peter, if you're going to limit me to one tip, it would be get to know yourself extremely well. Because the better you know yourself, the more effectively you will work with other people. And I believe that to be true with every fiber I have.
That's awesome. Yeah, because most people spend as much time as they can, like not finding out who they are.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I mean, it's just so true. And I mean, it just makes so much sense to me when I understand who I am, what I am, and like I said, both from a strengths perspective and a limitations perspective. I talked to a client this morning who was asking me to do some stuff that doesn't really relate to training and development. And I said to him, I was just like, Ray, I'm not your guy. I'm not the person for this. This is not who I am or what I am. And it's just so nice to be able to say that and be comfortable with it because I know myself.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's very crucial for business owners too, because they try to like please everybody, but just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it, kind of thing.
Well, and see there again, the comment that you just made, Al, is to me is critical relative to emotional intelligence. Because one thing I talk about in my sessions all the time, you cannot please everybody all the time. It's impossible. And if you do try to please everybody all the time, you will fail. You will fail. And I mean, there's a quote that I like that comes from John Maxwell. He writes in one of his books, you try to please everybody all the time, you will alienate everybody instead. And that makes sense to me. I can't do it. And I mean, that's where, again, having the emotional intelligence, Al, I need to talk to you about something. This is not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy, except, the conversation relates to the best interests of the organization. So we are going to have it.
That's awesome. It sort of reminds me of a book I read a long time ago called Crucial Conversations.
I've read that, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that book changed my life in a good way for a long way back when. But what kind of people do you work with, and what exactly do you do with them, or is it companies, or is it heads of companies or departments?
It varies. I mean, it really, really does. I have worked with leadership teams exclusively. I have worked with leadership teams and then their management teams, and then even, cascading it down to the individual contributors. I have coached senior executives before independently. I have coached managers independently. And again, all different levels, and it varies on what the organizations need, what they're looking for, and again, very candidly, what their commitment is to. Because a lot of these organizations, oh, we don't have the time, or oh, we can't afford this. And it's like, man, you are shooting yourself in the foot by, we don't have the time or we don't have the money. It's like you're going to be losing a lot more money than you realize.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and yeah, a lot of people are closed-minded though, and they don't want to, you know, uh, even rock the boat of what's going on with their business because
That's right.
they got to a certain point, they don't want to lose what they have, but they, for a potential gain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I give, I'm working with a client right now here in New Jersey, Uh, and I give them so much credit because yeah, originally they thought they wanted to just have some management development training. I talked to a couple of the senior leaders, and after the conversations, I said to them, is that you need management development training? Yes. Except before we start that, we need to help you build a culture here. The senior leaders need training, and then we'll cascade it down. And they have made the commitment, they have taken the time to do all of that. And it is making such a difference. And it's been a joy to watch.
That's awesome. That's beautiful that they're taking the chance and embracing what you're offering. That's awesome. So so do you have like strategies or programs that they could implement like to keep employees like or even their colleagues engaged and with the company and with its vision and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one thing too is that if any organization is going to take the time to build a vision, to have a mission statement, it needs to become a part of the fabric of the organization itself. And they, the people within the organization need to be talking about it every single day, every single day. And when I will ask people often in my discovery conversations, what's the guiding light for major decisions that you make at this organization? What guides you? And if there isn't a guiding light, most often it's been my direct experience, it's because there's not a solid mission statement, because that's your guiding light. That's what drives our decisions. And again, people need to believe in the vision, and then along, or need to believe in the mission, and then along with that, it's the responsibility of the leaders, of the managers, to build the relationships with everybody to make sure they are staying engaged.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So and it's awesome that show people how to do that. That's one of the things why I think podcasts like we're doing right here could be so beneficial for a company just internally. Like to be able to remind people of vision, mission, and also successes. I was talking with a gentleman yesterday who runs a really huge uh, flooring company, and they do like government contracts, with schools and etc. But they have employees all over the world, and it's like the people in customer service, and they get the complaint calls. They don't see all the cool stuff that they actually produce and the good that they do. And if they could showcase that in something like even as simple as a podcast, and they just watch that or had access to it once a week or once a month, whatever,
Yeah.
then it could keep an employee engaged, right? And like, oh, we do some really cool stuff, and it makes them happier about the position that they're in.
People want to know how they make a difference. And it's just so important relative to, you're right, the person in the warehouse needs to understand that by picking the proper products quickly and effectively, that impacts the bottom line. It's like, oh, I just work here, and I don't. I was talking to a guy. I was in Manhattan a number of years ago, and one of the janitorial staff, yeah, was wiping up the coffee area. Yeah, it was, just cleaning up some of the spills. It was probably around maybe 10:30, quarter of 11 in the morning, whatever. Cleaning up, wiping up, putting some fresh glasses out, and everything else. And I went up to him and I was like, "Thank you so much. I hope you know what a difference you make." And he looked at me and he was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Man, yeah, really?" I said, "When this area is nice and clean, it makes it attractive to people. So, number one, it shows that the company pays attention to detail. They're going to be happy to be able to come back, get their coffee. The condiments are here thanks to you. You make a big difference." And I thought he was going to cry. I really did. And I mean, and I meant what I said too, Al. I'm not trying to be condescending and, oh, yeah, you make a difference. He does make a difference. Everybody does. And I think that's one of the other ways so many companies fall down or miss an opportunity to recognize the people within their organization and indeed how they make a difference.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And yeah, so often companies, they get caught up in the bottom line and they just pay all their attention to new customers, and they don't even pay attention to their existing customers, let alone their employees, and at least enough. So yeah, that's crucial.
It's we had some guys come to the house today. They were shrink wrapping some of our outdoor furniture, and it was the first time we've done this. Okay, my wife and I talked to the owner of the company probably about 6 weeks ago on the phone. Just talking to him, energetic, enthusiastic, a good businessman. Just and we had talked things to him. When the call was over, I was like, yeah, he seems like a nice guy. But fine. The workers came out today. They were happy. They were engaged. They were friendly. And I said to Lori, I was like, I bet you, I'll bet you $100 that's coming from the top, and that's the owner taking good care of his people because he was enthusiastic with us, and I bet you he's enthusiastic with his employees, and it shows. It shows because we said to them when they left, I said, hey, you guys do power washing, right? We'll give you a call. We probably want you to come back and do that for us. So it's probably going to lead to more business for them.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's yeah, for the top down, whatever the mood is, it's contagious, right? And yeah, that's beautiful. And it excites me when I see that myself. Even if I go into a restaurant or a retail place, and they're happy, the employees, and they have proper service, and their customer service, and they're attentive, and all the things that are lacking these days. It's like, wow, I like they actually have training, and they have their support, and all these different things that can turn can just make their jobs better, make everybody make more money, and and
That's
just
right.
be happy,
That's right.
right?
And I mean that's exactly what it is. And and again, just hearing the comment there is that we were talking earlier about how it's the leader's job to find out what's important to people. And sometimes it is going to be money. Sometimes it will be. Not always.
Yep.
And sometimes it is. You know what? What's important to me is having the flexibility to leave early every Wednesday because I need to take my mom to the doctor. Or yeah, again, whatever it might be here. And I mean, it was so interesting, Al. So many years ago, when I resigned from Toshiba, okay, I had been there for a number of years, and this was when I first got into training and development. And I decided to resign. The only reason I decided to leave was because I was traveling too much, and I was burning out, and I had no life. My point, I called my boss, who sat in California. I was in New Jersey. Get her on the phone, and I was like, Barbara, I'm sorry to tell you I'm going to be resigning. And first her first comment, Ron, I can get you more money. Tony is in his office, her boss, and I knew Tony. I can get you more money. He's in his office right now. I will go in there. I'll tell him what's going on. And I was like, Barbara, wait, wait, wait. It won't matter. It's not the money. It's not the money. I'm actually happy with what I'm making. And again, the point is that people, oh, it's money. Oh, it's this. It's like, no, it's an ask. Ask people what's important to them, and then you can either give it to them or be honest enough and say, hey, you know what? I don't think we can provide that to you. And if it's that important to you and you need to leave, I'll be the first one to shake your hand.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so oftentimes that is the first response. We'll give you more. And like you said, that's not always the case for some people. They call that the golden handcuffs, right? As well, because prevent you from going out to something that could actually fulfill you, emotionally and spiritually, and not just financially.
Right, right.
Because the financial always comes when once you find your calling, then the financial comes.
There it is. I believe that with every fiber I have. I really do. You give me fun, interesting work to do. Let me interact with interesting people. You're going to get my absolute best, and the money will follow.
For
The
sure.
money will just follow.
Yeah. So with the companies that you can work with, is it mainly companies that have like existing like departments and struggles, or do you also work with ones that maybe aren't as mature and you help them develop those departments? Do you do that as well?
It's both, Al. It really, really is. I have worked with organizations that are pretty well developed who need training help. So sometimes there are just some inherent problems in there. Or I have also worked with organizations as they are growing and helping them to build and develop future leaders. And that, I mean, that's something else about which I'm just very, very passionate is helping organizations build that pipeline so that when opportunities come up for management positions, for leadership positions, they have people who are ready. And it's not like, oh, Al just left, or Al just, we just promoted Al. We need to fill his position. Who should we put in there? It's like, no, you have somebody ready, and you have somebody who's already had some formal leadership management training. And I mean that's the most effective way to do it, in my experience.
That's awesome. Yeah. And like we were mentioning, that saves a lot of heartache, and then a lot of time and money, because
Sure.
people don't understand, like from the outside looking in, how much money is actually invested into an employee, especially once they get into management positions.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. And I mean, and that's where one of the huge things too is making sure you select the right people. As that my experience has been too is that, oh, Ron, you're a good sales rep. You're a really good sales rep. We'll make you a sales manager. It's like, wait a minute, wait a minute. That can be a huge mistake, because again, it's a completely different set of competencies. And you need, again, actually, it goes back building those relationships and talking. Ron, are you interested in becoming a sales manager? This is what the job would entail. Here's how it's much different than what you're doing currently. And how would you feel about putting together budgets and forecasts, whatever it might be, because you're not selling any longer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's so important to ask that question first. People just assume,
Right,
like, oh yeah, like promotion, good, like, but or the, it sort of reminds me, like, way back a long time ago, because I come from a fitness background, and I remember I moved from LA to Orange County, and there was this woman who was just crazy awesome at bringing in clients and getting them to, pay in full and thousands of dollars and packages and all their friends. But she only worked part-time. And um the guy that actually owned the facility, he was trying to force her to be full-time, because so everybody could make more money, but
yeah,
that's not what she wanted. And when he actually made it mandatory, and she ended up quitting,
right.
and all those people like just left, all those paid in fulls. and just because she was happy, and she it was nothing to her, and then when he tried to put this extra responsibility, you know
Not gonna
so
work.
yeah, like, do you want to be a manager, or some people are happy in the position that they're at, just like you were, as far as your salary,
That's right.
you know
That's exactly right. And I mean, and it's just the world has changed so much over the years, and that and the what you're making me think about, Al, is just along the lines of not that many. No, I shouldn't say not that many. That's not fair. Quite a few people no longer want to climb the ladder. They're just not interested in it. And I mean, it's not. It may not be the best example in the world, and still, my nephew Jeff is a physician, and he's been practicing now. I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years, something like that. He lives out in Seattle. I was out there last year, and I was like, Jeff, would you ever be considered, or would you ever consider going into administration and getting into hospital leadership? He looked at me and he was like, are you crazy? He goes, I don't want to do that. I want to be a doctor. And again, the point is, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the hospital's responsibility to keep him engaged, to keep him interested, to find out what else can we do for you? What other kind, is there anything else we can be doing? Not another specialty or anything. Still in all, I hope I'm making my point where it's like, not everybody wants to get promoted. That's okay. What can we do to keep you here within the organization?
yeah, yeah, and that's like the make it or break it kind of a thing for a business too, right? Being able to have those kinds of skills, because it's going to come up more than once, right? that
Yeah,
that situation.
yeah, it's not a
So,
one and
so
done.
but yeah, being able to keep people happy in the positions that they're in, and being able to recognize people, and like, sort of keep them on or set them down the path that they're looking to go on,
Yeah,
for growth within the company. And like you said, if you can't fulfill that, then let them know as well. All that is so valuable for a business to learn.
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
so um so do you do your it on like a time kind of a commitment, or like, how do you work with people?
I will sit down with them, Al, and I am very, very flexible with everything that I do. I'll sit down, we will have a number of different conversations just about number one, what are the needs here? What needs to happen? And just again, I am not one that will sit there and say it is absolutely mandatory that we have 5 sessions together, that I need to do 5 training sessions for your company, or even, we need to do 5 coaching sessions. It's absolutely mandatory. I don't do that. I'm flexible because every company is different, every person is different. And the organization with which I've been working, I mentioned them earlier about the culture. We've been working together for a number of months now, and what's working for them are half-day sessions. That's what they're looking to do. That's what works for them. And I mean, it is working for me too in this case because they are local. So it works out for me. And still, the point is for me, I'm as flexible as I possibly can be.
Right on. That's awesome. As far as, like, you had mentioned, like, the COVID thing that happened, but like, since that period of time, and a lot of people like working from home now and stuff like that, has that changed like the landscape, or changed the challenges that leaders face in a company?
Yeah. I do think it has changed. I think it's changed the dynamics. I think the biggest thing for me, I am all about building and sustaining relationships. And I think that's one of the most important things that has to happen for any leader to be successful and for any organization to be successful. And that has changed through COVID, of course, with people working from home. Still in all, I'm just a believer in making an unsolicited telephone call, to an employee and to a colleague. It's just like, hey, just checking in. We gotta, did you, how was your workout this morning? What did you do? Whatever it might be, and trying still to maintain that as much human contact as possible.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I found that with my business. I'm an introvert, but like sales is part of every business, right? And I used to get like shy, like I think I was bugging people when I would call them, customers, and they would literally thank me and even send an email like, "Thank you for reaching out," like blah blah blah. We don't get that anywhere else, and all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, like even like at nighttime, whatever, like they think, wow, it's past hours, they're thinking about me, all that kind of stuff. That's cool. How would a business know when they need you, or when should someone seek, like what level of should a business be at, or in order to seek out your services?
Usually it's when an organization is really starting to grow. And when a company reaches like maybe 25, 30 people and is going from there, that often is when there needs to be some structure put in place. I said it's no longer, oh, nobody has a boss. We all just talk to each other. And that's fine when there's 10, 11, 12 people around. As the organization is starting to grow, there needs to be some structure, some formal structure put in place. And I don't mean this in a way where it's like, you report to me and he reports to her. No, except again, there has to be some sort of structure so that the organization can continue to function and move forward.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, there's this guy Jason Priestley. He talks about like if you get once you get it's all fine once you get to about 13, and then once you get past 13, it's just like chaos.
Right.
And then when you get to about 40 or 50, then that's when you've put in the structures that you're speaking of, and things become manageable again. But in between, it's just like the wild frontier.
Right.
kind of thing.
Well, I
But
mean that's exactly right, and I mean that mirrors what this food company has gone through because they were at about 25 people and they are growing. They're at 50 now, and the number continues to climb, and they need that structure for the manageability. That's exactly it.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because even just knowing what the next hire should be, like as far as this position and stuff like that too, because some people like they have trouble finding who to hire for a position, but companies oftentimes don't even know which is the best position to hire for the next employee. It, it's yeah, there's so many challenges, like different challenges that appear as a company grows, from that are much different from startup or from the initial growth, you know
Right.
and like what gets you to whatever, 1 million or 3 million is different than what'll get you to 10 to 50 to whatever, like the way you attack things that has to change along the way, and someone like you could streamline that
Yeah.
considerably.
Yeah. From a people perspective, no doubt. Yes.
Yeah, so yes. um let's see. So is there anything that I'm missing?
Al, I don't think so. I really, really don't. I think we've certainly hit on the major points. Is that for me, like I said, it's about getting to know yourself extremely well, and also actually to add to that, actually, getting to know yourself extremely well and being humble enough to ask for help and to realize I don't have all the answers. That's okay. Who can help me? And it takes a strong person to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. One of the things that just popped into my head, I was because I had some reading some information about you, and was that how do I know that I'm making the best decisions for my company? You know, that that's something that's popped into my head. Like as I'm doing stuff,
Yeah.
and you help people with things like that as well.
Oh, absolutely. That goes back to, in my mind, that goes back to having that strong mission statement that everybody knows, that everybody understands. That's the guiding light. As we make this decision, are we being consistent with our mission? And if the answer is yes, wonderful. And if the answer is no, it's like, man, we need to go in a different direction because otherwise we are violating what we believe in.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I could sort of attest to that. The business that I've had the most success with, you know, it is the one that had the mission and these core values. Only three core values, but
Yeah,
and
right.
but and I did a lot of speaking with it, and you know and I would mention them at every single event, every podcast interview that I did, everything, and people would even ask me like, what's the, because I talk about the phase that I'm in the company, like we're in phase this right now, and this is what our goals are, and people that would come to the events that would actually ask me like, hey, what phase are you in now, and like what's this or that, and the community that was able to be built from that was amazing,
Yes,
you know.
that's right. That's right.
So and like what I like about your business is that it deals with building the internal community, as opposed to just like social media followers and all this stuff, like, but the most important people, which are the employees, like building a community atmosphere within
That's right.
that is so valuable. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is true. And I mean, it's people, I read somewhere many years ago is that people will treat customers the way they are treated at work. And that makes
Yes.
sense to me. I mean,
Yeah,
it really, really does.
for sure.
Treat them well, and they're going to treat your customers well.
Yeah. Yep. So how do people uh, find out more about you?
The best way to do it, Al, is through LinkedIn. Just very, very simply, my name is Ron Reich, and it's Reich. The name of my company is RLB, Training and Development. And yeah, just go ahead, take a look at the page. There's a lot of information on there. There are some snippets that I've written. There are some videos that I've done, and I welcome the opportunity to have a conversation with anybody. And when I say that, I mean it. It's a conversation, not going to be a sales pitch. It's not going to be, oh, I'm going to, I need to charge you for this or whatever it might be. Let's talk. And if we can work together, wonderful. If not, so be it. That's okay. I'm still glad to help any way I can.
Awesome. And we'll make sure to put the links to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes, below the episode. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Al, glad to do it. Thank you. It was a lot of fun to talk with you.